Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of A Walk in My Shoes. I'm your host, Rachel Perez, and I'm super excited about this week's episode. So, today, our special guest is actually an author, and her name is Rebecca Greenfield. So, hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much
Hi.
for joining.
Hi.
Hello. So, actually, we're just going to, jump right in, and I'm personally super excited about having you and being able to interview you because quite honestly, I like writing. I wouldn't consider myself an author ever by any means, but I do like writing. I find such an interest in it. So I want to know a little bit about your story. So if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for having me on here. First off, this is fun. Yeah, I have loved writing. I actually ironically hated reading like forever. Yeah. And so like Charlotte's Web was like my favorite book to like high school, which is not a high school book. So like I had trouble liking reading for the longest time, but I liked writing, which was kind of odd. Um, and then I developed this love for reading, like after reading Cliff Notes to not like the what is it, Monte Cristo or whatever, the Count of Monte Cristo or something. I
Yeah.
watched the movie and I read like the last 200 pages and did Cliff Notes, and then suddenly it clicked for me and I started really loving reading. And then I started really writing even more after that, but that was kind of like high school into college and stuff. But as I transitioned into like college and just all the things that you kind of go through in college where you're like processing a lot, you're trying to figure out who you are, what you believe, what you're about, what you like, what you don't like, and things like that. Writing became a real therapeutic thing for me. And so
Oh,
it helped
wow.
me sort through some like faith things that I was struggling with, and it just helped me like have an outlet. And then I just really just enjoyed like the creative nature behind it. I can't draw, I can't like paint things and stuff, but like to me, I find writing very artistic and just like enjoy like the phrasing of things and just like processing of things. And so it kind of started that way and just the creative nature. Like I enjoyed creative writing and I had always kind of like dabbled in it throughout, and then just really started embracing that like kind of in college and after. So,
Wow, that's awesome.
I
Wow.
mean,
Okay. So did you always did like in your elementary years did you enjoy writing, or it was more in like high school to college age?
no, I did actually like writing then too. Like I remember, I think it was like the first medal I won was for like this like soldier poem thing that I wrote for
Oh.
veterans in like fifth grade, and I was like so excited because the principal's office had me down, for it or something. And um, but yeah, I have always enjoyed it, and I tried for like the writing club and things like that in middle school, and then like wrote a children's book in high school actually that I just
Oh,
released this
wow.
year. So it was like the end of my like I think it was like my senior year or my junior year, and then but I just finally released it this year. Like I kind of had shelved it, and like it
That's
was just one of those
awesome.
things
Yeah.
that you do, and then you're like, oh, I would like
That's
to.
awesome. In a senior in high school?
Yeah.
Wow. That's great. I could never. I could
You
never.
probably could, I'm sure.
That's awesome. Wow. So, what was that process like?
So, so like I said, I kind of have been really enjoying writing, and it became really helpful to me in life, just as a creative outlet and just a processing outlet, especially in college. And so I wrote like my first like real book and like adult book when I was like started like when I lived by myself in my apartment. So I don't know, let's see, I think I was like in grad school or something like that. And it was just me trying to work through some of my own faith crisis issues with God, and like something like trying to figure out what I believed, and things that I struggled with and things I saw in the faith, and then things I didn't really agree with, or how was God still relevant and all that. And so that was my book Raw. And so I that was my first one that I published. And that was kind of really special to my heart. and like a journey that I had gone through. And then I had a few other writings after that. And then I was like, okay, now I want to bring Dust Your Knuffle, the children's book, dust that off a little bit and then bring that back out. Because my mom was always a really big fan of it. And she kept saying, now that you're publishing, like, when are you going to bring Dust Your Knuffle out? And so that was fun. So I decided to pursue that this year. And I called up my illustrator, who she was like around high school. She's like a year older than me. So she had done the pictures years ago, like just for fun. We just did that because we went to the same church. And so I called her up this past year and like during the COVID shutdown stuff last year. And I was like, would you be interested in, bringing this out, like collaborating? I know we haven't talked in like 15 years, but like, would you be interested? So she's like, yeah, I actually would be. And so that was fun. It was a fun project.
That's so awesome. Oh, that sounds so great. So going back a little bit, what's like the process, or at least for you, what was the process of writing your first children's book?
So that was just like creative inspiration, like I don't know. I think I always liked creative writing, not like research papers and things like that. I just wanted to
Right,
do
yeah.
fun things, and just kind of dream. And I liked this notion of a world within a world. And I think I even got some inspiration from like the Grinch, that where they like zoom in on a snowflake and everything like happened in the snowflake. And so Dust Your Knuffle is like a story where everything happens under the carpet. And so it's like this whole village underneath the carpet of a family home, and their happenings and what's going on with them, and like the threat of the humans above and stuff, and how they kind of rally together to save their town. And so anyway, so I just think I just was having fun with just like the world within a world concept, and just, I don't know, just had fun. I don't remember many details about like what I think I just got inspired and to like play around with that idea, and then
That's awesome.
yeah.
No, I love that. So, since you are an author, what does your typical day to day look like? Is every day the same, or?
So I do this as a side thing. So it's not
Oh,
a
okay.
full-time job or anything like that. That'd be fun, but
Yeah.
it's it's just something I do in addition to other things. But um, I have another job as a nuclear medicine technologist, and then I work for the Christian mission, and that's kind of like a more ministry related job. And the other one, like both of them I've done schooling for. So my nuclear medicine is what I got like my bachelor's in, and then my master's was in like ministry related things. And so the writing stuff is kind of complementary of like my master's degree and stuff like that, like some of the ministry related stuff. And I guess like for me, it's like it all kind of ties together, but this would be like the exciting outlet, of getting to be creative. And there was a period of time where there was a lot of hours I was working between both jobs, and I thought, oh, that's okay, like fill that kind of need or that desire, because I'm getting to participate in things I love. But then I realized I really missed the outlet of writing and creativity, and so I was like, oh, I'm desperately missing this. So it's been something now that I'm very intentional about incorporating in like a weekly basis. Like I don't write every night. I don't write like to be like out of obligation. I just try to write out of fun, like to keep it enjoyable and to keep it like just like a healthy expression instead of something that I have to do on the to-do list, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Sweet. No, that's really good. So I know for me personally, writing is definitely how I just get my thoughts onto paper when everything's, just going crazy in my head. Is that the same
Yeah.
case for you? Yes?
Yeah. I'm an external processor to like a fault. So like I
Same.
can't my poor friends and family have to listen to me. But if I can write it out or talk it out, then that helps me. And then also like I feel like God teaches you lessons along the way, and it's fun to share what he's taught you with other people. And because I've received a lot from other people who are sharing their stories or sharing what God's teaching them. And it's like, that's helped me a ton, in my life. And so I hope through writing, to be able to do that for others, even if it's just one person, hopefully it's encouraging, or God can use anything. So.
That's awesome. No, yeah, that's so good. So in your opinion, what do you think makes a good writer?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, because I don't think like it's about following the rules and the form. I mean, you don't want to be distracting where you can't like spell anything right, or you can't phrase.
Right, yeah.
That's kind of distracting, I guess. But I really don't think it's about like qualification. I think it's about passion and being I guess intentional about delivering like a message that you have, or a creative art that you want to express. Like I think art is in so many different versions and forms of life. Like I think even cooking can be artistic. I mean, there's so many ways to express art, and I think um, like creating like that is just maybe one of the best things that you can be for an author. Just being willing to share and create and express, and then use that to help others.
That's so good. Yeah, I love that. So I'm actually curious for this one. If you could describe yourself in one word, how would you describe yourself?
Oh dear. Oh, one word. Um,
I know it's a very tricky
wow.
question.
I don't know. I don't know. I see my flaws a lot, so I don't know what I guess I'll say loved, maybe. That's kind of a weird
Loved.
word.
Wow, that's so good.
But I've been blessed with a very supportive family, and um, I think like the love of God has been hugely influential in my life, and so like from Him, I feel like I've received purpose, and um, it's not like anything of my own merit. You know what I mean? Like He can use
Right.
my flaws, and He can use like things that I've screwed up with, and then like bring good out of that. And so it's like beyond what I can do. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it brings
So
me
loved.
comfort in my deficits, I guess.
Oh, wow, that's so good. I love that. Wow, that's awesome. Sweet. So, actually, branching back. So, in your books, so how many books do you have that you've personally written?
I have 5 that I've written.
Okay,
And
wow.
I mean, 2 of them are kind of like workbooks, so they're not like your traditional book. Um,
Okay.
but they are like one's like a study guide to go with a book that I wrote. It's got a bunch of
Okay.
questions. I tend to ask a lot of questions, so got a pile of questions in there to help people if they wanted to like go deeper and talk it out.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have like another type of workbook that helps you set up like an event that's kind of more of an interactive event that you can kind of do, which kind of came out right, I think like 4 months before COVID or whatever. So,
Oh, wow.
can't really do much with it right now.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. So, for each of those books, did you have any specific inspiration or somebody that you looked up to in that time?
um, I remember reading Shauna Nyquist. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but
I am not.
she wrote a book called Bittersweet, and it was so conversational. And after I finished that book, I I remember like writing how I like in the cover of that book that I really loved that book, and I just felt really what do I always say, like free to kind of
Yeah.
not follow like writing. Like I could be conversational in my writing, and then I started writing shortly after. I don't know if it was like that week or something like that. My raw book, I started that book because I just found it very like life giving, that I'm like, hey, I can just converse with this audience that I'm writing to who hasn't read my book yet. But through that, I'm able to process things and I'm able to share what I've learned and hopefully help others. And so, yeah, I think that was very impactful for me to have like liberty in my writing style.
That's awesome. That's so good. So, do you have any like favorite books?
Yeah, a lot. I like experiencing God. That tends to be kind of like the genre I read. So that was by Henry Blackaby. I like C.S. Lewis. He's got some like Mere Christianity. He's got
Oh
some real
yeah.
type things. So that's
Yeah.
good when you're like wanting to figure out stuff and be challenged. I liked Bittersweet, of course, by Shauna Nyquist, and I liked like Journey of Desire and by John Eldridge. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I don't know if you're familiar with him at all, but
Maybe.
he had a few that I really liked. I think there's another one that he had, and I can't blanking on the name on it, but I liked that a lot.
Wow, okay.
So
That's
I may have
awesome.
some books right now. But
Those are a few authors. That's there's a variety there. That's awesome. So, do you have to go to college and get a degree to become an author? Or what was your experience with that?
So I no, like, and especially now,
Okay.
no, like there's so many resources for people who are aspiring to be authors. There's so many support groups for people who are looking how to do things. There's so much you can find online. So if this is something that you desire to do, like it's like if it's a dream, go for it. Totally go for it because it's so worth it. It's a fun journey. But no, I went to school for I thought I'd never change my major. I ended up changing my major like 4 times. And I was like at a new school, I felt like every year getting my transcripts like transferred because I couldn't make a decision on what I wanted to do. But anyway, I wanted to do something medical. And so I was looking into like going into physical therapy and pharmacy. I looked at those, and they both needed undergrad. And my parents had said, life happens. Like, what if you get married, or what if you, I don't know, just don't feel like you want to keep going to school? Like, get your undergrad first. So I did that, and I ended up liking it a lot more. I got it in nuclear medicine, which I wasn't planning on actually. I was going to go further, and I'm like, I really love this a lot. And so then when I was looking into doing like physical therapy and pharmacy, I wasn't as interested in those things. And so I started kind of figuring out what do I want to do for the rest of my life, those types of questions, and spent some time like praying about it and like trying to figure out what I wanted. And then I felt called into like ministry related things. And so I ended up getting my graduate school master's in theological studies. So that has helped my particular style of writing, but that's not necessary. But if there is some sort of area that you wanted to write in, it's good to have that kind of training so that you can write
Right.
about,
Yeah.
be a resource for people, hopefully. But it's not necessary. But college will help you with just general guidance for writing and like just grammar and
Yeah. The basics.
the nature of like keeping on the topic and the subject and things like that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
would you recommend college, or would you recommend other sources?
I am pro education for sure. I think college ends up helping you with stability in the long run as far as like financial security and having a job where you can continue to advance and keep, you know, growing in your training and just even growing in your leadership. So yeah, I definitely believe that college is very helpful. And if you don't choose college, I know college isn't for everybody. I think like a vocational type of training is definitely very helpful too, because it allows you to kind of break through some of those barriers and have more opportunities to you. And you meet a lot of cool people. It's a very growing experience personally. but it can be done in a very affordable manner. And I think that's hard to know when you're like 18. You just want the experience and you forget about the affordability and things like that. But there really are a lot of resources and community colleges that help you achieve these very same goals without like, paying for years and years and years.
Right, yeah. No, that's awesome. So I actually have a personal question. So I've always wondered this. I know a lot of people that are writers and authors, and they are typically introverts. Do you see yourself as an introvert or an extrovert?
I have asked myself this question too. I love being with people, but I I must be more of an introvert because I get refilled when I'm by myself. Like if I can have writing time and I can have like reading time or prayer time, like that like fills me up. Whereas when I'm out with a bunch of people, it does sometimes like get me excited for a little bit, but it also kind of can drain me if it's too long or too many times.
Yeah.
Like I kind of joke like there's like an inner nun in me or something because I like kind of that like recluse I can gravitate that way even though I feel like life's busy and it doesn't really afford that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you have to be an introvert in order to be an author, or you can be an extrovert?
Absolutely. You can be you. Like you can be you with your purpose and your mission and sharing what God's put on your heart or how you are you with others. And I think that inspires people. I mean it's inspiring for me to see other people who are living out their purpose or their calling or like them being them, and not trying to be anybody else. I think when you see authenticity, that's inspiring, and I think you can be an introvert, an extrovert, and you speak to different people in that way.
So good. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. So for people that are interested in becoming authors or looking into that field, what is some advice that you would have for them?
I would say, don't quit your day job.
Oh, really?
Don't
Wow,
quit your
really?
day job, no, because it's competitive out there. So
Okay.
you want to do this on the side first. And then when you start
Okay.
getting traction with that, that's when you transition. But it's very, very competitive. So it's so easy. Like my husband's very frugal. We try to be good stewards of money, but you can dump tons of money into like marketing and
Right.
it's so like that's not maybe the best use of your money just to get advanced. And some people it is worth it to them, but that's for you to sort out. But my thought is you get educated on something else that you can have like provide for your family, that you can accomplish other goals and dreams and opportunities that are available to you. You get that training and that structure for that, and then make this a priority, make this the priority in your life. If you want to be an author, like that is one of the number one things that you will cut out time for, and that you may take a vacation day from your work to do or to work on, and that's okay because it is a very big priority to you, but you still have your livelihood, the thing that's supporting you financially and helping you like meet other people and connect with other people. And those people are very supportive in your author endeavors too, which is encouraging. It gives you a bigger support net.
Wow. That is something I personally never really thought about. I thought just, go full send, but no, that's really good to hear. So do
Yeah.
you think you would ever become an author full time?
I I well, okay, yes, I would love that. I love that. And at the same time, I'm very grateful for the mix I have now because I would miss the things I'm doing now. So I just feel like I don't have enough hours in a day. I just really wish there was like a few more hours in every day. And
Yeah, right.
um, but yeah, I would love to be able to do that more full time. I think every author would have that aspiration and dream. I think that's something that you always desire and think that would be so cool. But I know at the same time, like I would really miss like my other jobs. Like I really enjoy them. I get a lot of fulfillment out of them and
Wow.
meet so many amazing people. And so like there would be a loss with that too. So, I think I don't know. I've been blessed and I'm okay with the mix I have now. And I would be thrilled if the opportunity presented itself where I do get to be more full time with writing, but it's good. It's a
That's
win-win.
awesome. No, that's awesome. So, for your books, do you typically make your own illustrations?
Oh, I am terrible at drawing. Awful. No, no. My beautiful friend Cassie from church. We went to church years ago together, and she was my artist for Dust or No
Oh,
Fault.
wow. Oh,
And she would
wow.
think of things that I wouldn't even think of, like to make it creative. And I loved that. I just loved seeing her expression into it. It's a lot of creative energy, and it's so fun.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, do you think of yourself as creative, or do you have a big imagination?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like I I think it kind of hit me when I was writing Raw that art is so much more than just drawing and paint. And I feel like so many people are creative. I believe we're created in the image of God, and I believe God himself is a creator. And like we reflect that. Like we're creative beings. So like I feel like people who even think they're not creative are like probably very creative still in their own right. Like they can
Yeah.
creatively make a space unique, or they can creatively make a recipe taste different or add something to it, or they can make a tablescape that looks gorgeous or something. That's all creativity. So in that regard, I believe that I'm creative, and I enjoy imagination. That part's fun. I cannot draw worth a lick. I can't,
Really?
no,
Wow. That's so funny to me. I don't know why. Wow. So
that's
you
why
had
you
your friend do.
friends.
So she did all the illustrations for your book.
Yes.
Wow.
And I loved it. And it's
Wow.
fun because then you get to collaborate with people. And and then she's bringing ideas, and then you're like, hey, what if we do this? And it's just it's more enjoyable than doing it by yourself, even because you're
Oh,
getting
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
camaraderie.
Wow. So do you like working with other people more, or do you like working by yourself?
Um, I think I like both. Like for the other books, those were very personal things for me, so I those would be less collaborative. Since I can't draw, there is no other option for me than creating or collaborating with someone who is able to draw and has that gift. Um, but I I liked like as far as writing, that's a very personal thing for me. I do like right because you kind of have your own style, and that may not match somebody else's style, and somebody else
Right.
may not like it at all, which is fine. But it's hard for you to break out of that, and it's good to challenge yourself to break out of that, but it is hard to like break out of your natural default style, I think.
So I know you've mentioned your book Raw a couple of times. So I'm intrigued. What was the process of that? So was it super hard for you, and how long did it take to actually write the entire book?
It was a labor of love, so it took me a long time. um I felt like I got like the majority of it done like before kind of before I started dating my husband. And then I, met this cute guy and I really liked him. And then it kind of got shelved for a little bit because I was more interested in dating than writing. So, you know, then we got married, and I had to give up a job I really loved, and that was hard. Because we had to move, or I had to move to Columbus because I got married, and so it was like it was just hard for me to give that up, and I really struggled with that. And so then I realized like now that has is out of my life, that job I really loved, I may have more time available, and I want to be intentional with my time, and I want to make this writing a priority. Like I want to finish what I started. And so then I, finished a few things, and then I began like the editing process, and that part takes a long time. And
Oh, I'm
Just
sure. Oh, yeah.
yeah. Did you like realize how you've changed over the years and how like maybe you wouldn't say it this way, or like these chapters need to not be in here, or these ones need to be merged and the whole
Yep.
order needs to be rearranged. So that was a very enlightening process, but it took a long time, a lot longer than I expected. And then you can start looking into publication options and trying to go forward with actually getting it published and released. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So I think
So
the whole thing took me like close to 10 years, I think, the whole thing for
10
that.
years. Oh, wow.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, so you don't need to like ever, don't give up on your dreams is what I'm trying to say. Like if it's been a priority and you've kind of put it on the back burner, bring it out and make it the priority then. And then be very intentional about it. And then help
Absolutely.
speed up that last part of your 10-year process.
Yeah. So, how does one like actually get published as an author?
There's various routes you can go. There's traditional, there's self-publishing, there's kind of an in-between thing where there's kind of like vanity press. And so there's some research you kind of need to do into that. There's some scams you got to watch out for too. There's people who will try to like make you pay for things that you could probably do on your own, or you could hire somebody to kind of do that part for you and it would still save you a lot of money. So I mean, I chose, there's book proposals that you can make and write to traditional author houses. And that those are difficult to get out there. I mean, they're difficult. They're easy to write. I mean, they take a while, but it's difficult to get in without having like a literary agent or a publicist that can kind of have their foot in the door. Some places won't even take solicitations unless you
Oh,
have a
wow.
literary agent.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of publishing houses, but not everybody's receiving those manuscripts or will review them. So you just have to do a lot of research and a lot of digging and then kind of sort through what option's good for you. There's some things with traditional publishing that like sometimes they own your book and you don't, so you have to watch out for that because they could buy a bunch of copies and maybe it sold really well in the beginning but it didn't sell so well like second half, and then if you wanted your rights back you'd have to buy all your books back, so that's a costly thing to do. So
Oh,
there's
wow.
just a lot of little things to look for, and it's good to do a lot of research. The internet and forums are so helpful for that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You learn more every day.
Yeah.
So, is becoming an author like hard, or it just takes a lot of dedication and work?
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. Like if you were to kind of break down the amount of time you put into it and what you got paid per hour, you're making pennies per hour, because you're putting in so much time. But
Oh,
you
wow.
love it so much, it's okay because you're like, this is what
Right.
I want to do. This is what I've been waiting all day to
Yeah.
do. I'm so excited to get to do this. But no, yeah, you just it's going to take a dedication of time. And I think like the hardest part, and I've talked with other authors about this, and I feel like the hardest part is actually like the editing, publication, marketing part of it afterwards. The easy part is getting to write. Like you get to do what you love. You get to express your art in the way that you were made to express your art. And it's so fun. But then comes like kind of the part where you kind of feel like you're paddling upstream because you're having to like do a lot of research. You're having to, find people that can help you with your book layout, or, you're trying to send book proposals, and that stuff gets kind of mucky and that part can be long, but it's the final part and you're almost there. So you don't want to give up on that part at all because you're right at the tail end.
Wow, okay. So for you personally, I know some people like who are my friends that are authors, they absolutely loved the editing process. I don't know why, but I know I would not. So did you like that process or no?
No, that's not my favorite part. I mean, it was good. Like I like organizing things and it helped me. Like that part was like fun. Like what did I want to do with this chapter, and did I want to merge this, and did I want to put it in a different order and things like that. So that part, I enjoyed that part, but I can miss like a blinking light in front of me. So like I can still read my book and I feel like, oh, I should have put a comma there. Like things that I'm like, I have read this so many times. How have I missed this? And so the editing part is like not my favorite at all. I
Oh yeah, I totally get it.
yeah, takes me a while, and I'm like, oh, this isn't as
Oh,
fun.
I
But
know. I would be so impatient. So
yeah,
impatient. Yeah. So what is a writer's block? And have you encountered anything like that?
yeah, more like if you have to, for me, so writer's block is if you kind of have that like blank and you feel like you have no creative inspiration and you feel like anything you come up with is just like a repeat of what you've had before, or you just got nothing. You just don't feel creative, you're not in that zone. Um and I tend to not like, some people, it's a good practice for them to write every day. That helps some people. That helps them with the writer's block. That feels very burdensome to me, so I do not do that. I tend to write like when I feel motivated to or inspired to, or if there's a deadline. And so sometimes if there's a deadline, I have felt that writer's block, and I'm like, oh, where do I just need that opening sentence, or I need that opening thought, and I can't get it. I can't get it. And so uh, sometimes for me, a lot of the things that I write on end up being like faith filled in nature. And so for me to receive inspiration, then I would, maybe like read some scripture or listen to a good sermon or like listen to music or something like that, or have a good conversation with a friend about like some heart to heart issues. And then it starts getting me stirring of like, oh, yeah, this is what it's about. This is what I need to write about. And so
Yeah.
that's helped me. But I know not a lot of people don't write on that topic. So I think for them to find some help sometimes, like going out in nature, doing something else really fun or interactive, like a lot of energy can kind of help with that. I think seeing other art, so either listening to music or participating in some other like artistic type of event, I don't know, live performance or something like that. I think that can help get those creative juices going and kind of get you like into, oh yeah, I want to participate in this, or I would add my own thing to this. So I think just getting out is good. Getting out of your four walls sometimes is
That's
helpful.
awesome. That's so good. So do you have a specific writing style?
Um, Mine I think just tends to be more conversational
Okay.
and like just I guess creative if possible. I don't want it to be dry, but I like to share stories or humor, or I like to, sometimes have engaging questions if I can, or just kind of talk about those like hard questions that like people don't want to talk about. Like, let's talk about it.
Right.
So I guess that would be it. My
Okay.
style.
So are your books like from your personal experience? So that was just you writing down your feelings or
So it's not like a journal or memoir,
okay.
and it's not specific to women. It's
Oh, okay.
specific to like faith, hard questions, like where's God when like I feel stuck in life? Like why can't I move forward? Why can't I get the job I want to get? Why can't I get married when I want to get married? Those things are where is God when there's like bad things happening to really good people, and you're like, is God still even
Wow.
good, or
Yeah.
is he exist? Those types of things. And
Wow.
like, where is God when like the church is like a mess or something, and I'm
The
frustrated with
hard
that.
questions.
Yes,
Wow.
that was kind of my raw book. And then my other book is a devotional. So that's more, again, it's for both men and women. It's not like tailored to one or the other, but it's just more of taking maybe some like passages in scripture and then like making it more self-reflective and uh like applicable to your life, or like making it make sense now, taking it from like that culture to this culture, and just kind of having that interactive. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of prompts and stuff for you to journal, and so that's the design of like the prayer crossing.
Okay. Wow, those are some deep, hard questions. Wow. So is there something that kind of just like clicked one day and you were like, you felt called to write these books? Or was it just always on your heart?
um like you said, I think with like the Shauna Nyquist thing, I felt like freedom to just not have to conform to a certain style and just write how I wanted to write. And so that was helpful. And then I started writing raw. And then like the prayer crossing was written basically out of just like, I had been challenged to kind of read scripture regularly, and it was like really dry when I first started. To be honest, I didn't really
Oh,
like
okay.
it. I didn't really want to do it, and so I just did it because I committed to it. And then things really started to click. And I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. Like I really enjoy this. This is fun, and I'm learning a lot. And like, so that kind of developed as like a way to, I think, bring that to life, hopefully for others in like interactive ways. So yeah, I guess they were kind of like, yeah, it clicked moments or something like that. But.
Wow. Okay. So have you gotten a lot of good feedback? Like, have people read it and they're like, wow, I can relate so much? Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
people are nice because they love you because they're nice friends too. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had people who have said that, and I appreciate that. I don't know. Yes, I have received a lot of comments, but I know that that's probably biased too, because people are just kind-hearted. So
Right.
I
Oh,
always
that's
appreciate,
sweet.
I appreciate it. I'm like, even if you want to lie to me about it, that's nice. I'll take the.
Oh, that's so sweet. So have there been any really tough challenges that you've had to overcome while being an author?
um, Time management has been hard. Just because this kind of takes on its own life a little bit, which is great. It's a blessing, but it's hard to fit it in with like your job and the family responsibilities and friends who want to get together,
Right.
other extracurricular things that you're kind of involved in. It's like it's hard to fit it all in. So that's been probably one of the biggest challenges, like the double-edged sword, the blessing and the challenge at the same time. Um, So yeah, and I think the other part is marketing is very weird. It's very self-promoting, and that seems kind of gross sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I guess for lack of a better word, it's just like, it's just
Yeah.
it's hard to navigate that. I think those would be the
Wow.
biggest challenges because you just
Okay.
don't really want to do that part. You just want to be able to create, and then like it does the rest.
Yep,
But
that's what I would do.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome though. Wow. Well, it's been so nice getting to hear all your stories.
Oh,
Wow, that's awesome. I just have one more question. So, kind of to wrap up, do you have any advice for anybody watching, or maybe a good quote that you live by?
um, I guess. Oh, I don't know. I want to say like be intentional. Like you have to be intentional with the things you want, um, and that you desire. You have to just kind of go for that and make that a priority in your life. But don't lose yourself in it. And then for me, my faith has been a huge inspiration for me, and so like I always encourage anybody who maybe has their own issues with God or whatever. Like God is so much bigger than anything, and like He meets you in your questions. And so like I I find that helpful in my life, and so I would encourage people to just take a chance on God. With everything, just invite Him along for the ride. And I think it's amazing. That brings a lot more joy to the journey, personally.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's been so nice to meet you.
Thank you. This has been
Thank
so
you.
fun talking with you. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I
Thank
know I've
you.
learned a lot more about being an author. I don't know if it's ever something that I may personally take on, but it sounds fun and you definitely have a huge passion for it. So
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up here. So it's been so nice to meet you, Rebecca.
It's so nice to be on here. And if
Yes.
you ever do pursue that, if there's any way I can help, I would love to, help you in your goals and dreams with that. So that would be cool.
Absolutely. Thank you so
So,
much.
thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining today on A Walk in My Shoes, and we'll see you next week.